Nikhil Naz is live with us from Paris. Nikhil, has that hearing begun? What can you tell us? You've been reporting on those contours of Vinesh Phogat's plea.
Well, that's right, Shiv. In fact, we're coming to you live from right outside Tribunal de Paris. This is where the hearing is about to start. It is actually on the 29th floor of this building where the ad hoc office of the Court of Arbitration for Sports has been set up. As you mentioned a short while ago, two Indian experts, amicus curiae in Vidushpat Singhania, who's a sports law expert, as well as top legal eagle of India, Harish Salve. They'll be joining online, and they have been put there by the Indian Olympic Association. However, for Vinesh, the four lawyers that are fighting pro bono will also be here. But just to give you the broader contours that you just mentioned in terms of the argument that Vinesh or Vinesh's team is going to be presenting, just for the layman, what they are trying to say is that you can ban an athlete or you can disqualify an athlete when you feel that the athlete is trying to take an unfair advantage. Whether that unfair advantage could be in terms of doping, or whether that's unfair advantage in terms of equipment, so on and so forth. There could be various areas. What they're trying to argue here is that Vinesh took no unfair advantage. Now, in wrestling, if you are overweight, that can be an unfair advantage, because there is a reason why you have weight classes. There is a 50 kilogram category, 53, 57, so on and so forth. So if you are heavier than the other wrestler or a boxer, then you end up gaining that advantage, or even in weightlifting. So these are certain sports where you need to have weight categories. So if you're overweight, then you are gaining an advantage. But what Vinesh is arguing, that had she been overweight on day one, then fair enough. Then you could argue that she's gaining an unfair advantage. She's of a heavier weight category. She should not be allowed to participate. What she's saying, day one, I was within the prescribed limit. Now, after you've made me fight 3 bouts, there is no way that I cannot go through the recovery process, and it's just a natural process. What she's saying is, and I think that's the bottom line, that's my fundamental right to replenish my body with all the salts and the water that I've lost, and if I do not, then my body just cannot recover. So that's my fundamental right. And just to let you know, whatever is the argument, whatever is the decision, whatever is the view that the judge takes, it's going to have bigger repercussions, and it's not just going to be limited to India and this medal, Shiv. If the court is to rule in favor of Vinesh Phogat, then not only will she get a silver medal, the sport of wrestling, I beg your pardon, the sport of wrestling may have to change few rules going forward, because if the court does argue and upholds that argument that yes, it's a natural process, recovery has to be done, and it is indeed a fundamental right of an athlete, then you may just do away with the second day weigh-in. Then the UWW would be forced to do away with second day and check on day one. If you're within the prescribed weight limit, then you participate for 2 days, because recovery is a natural process, and all wrestlers will have to go through it. So this case is going to be very important, not just for India, but for the sport of wrestling.
You've been completely plugged into this. I bet you've hardly had much sleep either, Nikhil. There is this legal aspect of what's happening. There's also the emotional aspect of it. We've seen experts weigh in saying, there's very little chance of this court actually delivering the result that we all want. But miracles have been known to happen. But there's also this sense, you've got Sachin Tendulkar weigh in and say, rules have been revisited in the past as well. So, basically signaling that it should happen now, which is what all of us agree with as well. Being there, reporting on this story, being so close to it, which offers a very, very different perspective, Nikhil, what do you think? Not to second guess what's going to happen in the court, that only they can tell, but how are you feeling about what's going to happen?
Well, I'm looking at it positively, Shiv, because 2 days ago, 48 hours ago, I think we had all come to terms with the fact that no medal is coming. We were forcibly made to make peace with that situation where Vinesh Phogat, who was going to get a silver, was out of the race. And then there is a ray of hope, and this recourse is there, that you go to Court of Arbitration, because you went to UWW, you went to IOC, and they just looked at the rule book. But now that there is this other avenue that you could would explore, and which the Indian team has done, whether it's the IOA, whether it's Vinesh herself, I still feel that even though odds are heavily stacked against Vinesh, because what UWW has done is followed the rule book to the T. Now for the judge to overturn that, she has to be really convinced of the argument. We've seen cases happen, but there are far and few between. So that I think is the difference. So I'm saying from a 0% chance, at least you're looking at a 5, 10, 15, whatever percent chance that there could be that they overturn this decision. I do know of a few decisions. There was a doping decision that happened with a skater in 2 years ago at the Winter Olympics, and she was found guilty of doping a few years ago, and she said, no, I'll challenge it. You do my dope test again, but allow me to participate in the final. She participates, they do a dope test later, and she's found to be clean, and they give her. And even on that occasion, they went beyond the rules. So it's not uncommon. They have gone beyond the rules. Right now, it's rules versus a more practical view. And sometimes, listen, you cover all sorts of sports, and rules keep changing over the years because the lawmakers are also not, 100%. They can't foresee the future. And sometimes situations like this emerge, which then force the lawmakers to relook at those rules. So there is a chance. It may be a small chance, but a chance nonetheless.
A billion Indians are counting on that 5, 10 and 15%. Nikhil, thanks very much for joining us with that live input from Paris. We'll be hanging on to Nikhil's live reports coming in as and when that verdict comes in. Thanks, Nikhil. Rahul Rawat is also joining us live from Paris. He's been on the front lines of every news break on this story as well. Rahul, where is Vinesh right now? How is she doing? That hearing is about to begin. She has good representation. Harish Salve is there on the behalf of the IOA as well. How are things with Vinesh herself?
Well, see, you already know, Shiv, the day she was disqualified, next morning, she announced that she's going to quit wrestling internationally. But as I was listening to Nikhil also, there has been a precedent. See, Court of Arbitration for Sport, a lot of people would say that, since the word sport is associated and attached with this tribunal, there is a precedent as well when the CAS has gone against the system. I'll tell you, one of the most prominent cases that perhaps everybody would remember is the case of Duti Chand. International athletics body, the IAAF, had banned Duti Chand because her testosterone level was higher than the prescribed limit. So they thought that she cannot compete amongst the females. And what she did, of course, with the support of the government, they went to the CAS, Court of Arbitration for Sport, and that hyperandrogenism case became a massive news, and the Court of Arbitration for Sport had ruled in favor of Duti Chand. So there has been a precedent as far as India is concerned when the CAS has ruled against the system, against the international bodies, against the rules that have been laid out by these international bodies. But this again will have its repercussions. And for Vinesh Phogat, as of now, you need to have a good legal backing, which Vinesh has been provided by the Government of India. In fact, it was the Government of India that intervened and asked the Indian Olympic Association that you get Mr. Harish Salve and Vidushpat Singhania, who is a sports lawyer who's fought many cases for many athletes who've tested positive for doping and other. He's been to CAS, he's been to National Anti-Doping, the National Anti, he's fought cases for national or against national anti-doping agencies, against the WADA rulings. So she has a decent legal backing as far as lawyers are concerned, amicus curiae are concerned, and the pro bono. So the former Supreme Court judge from Australia, she has been appointed as the arbitrator for this particular case. And also the most interesting thing is the ad hoc body that was set up here by the CAS will fast track it, and the ruling should either come today, at least if not today, then before the Olympic Games get over, that is 11th of August, Shiv.
Okay, stay with me, Rahul, for just a moment. I want to just summarize for our viewers what this legal team representing Vinesh actually looks like. Like I said, Harish Salve, arguably India's most famous and well-known lawyer, is representing the Indian Olympic Association, which is also part of this case. He's a well-known Supreme Court advocate based in London. There's Vidushpat Singhania, like Nikhil was saying. He'll be appearing as the amicus curiae or the friend of the court, offering an expert view. He's a sports legal expert. You've got Joël Monlouis, a former national level athlete and founder of the top French sports law firm in Paris. There's Estelle Ivanova. She's an international sports arbitration expert, manages domestic and international litigation. You've got Habeen Estelle Kim, practices commercial and corporate law and an employment law expert as well. Charles Amson, author of Sports Law, manual teaches sports law at different business schools. So we're going to be tracking all of these developments very, very closely. The big hope, and thanks very much, Rahul, for joining us live from Paris, is that if the court rules in Vinesh's favor, there is every hope and prayer that the young warrior, the hero, will decide once again and take back her decision to retire. That's the big hope, because our golden girl deserves her silver.